The 2015 legislative session just convened Monday. Looking ahead, what can viewers expect from this year's 105-day session?
The key priority of this session will be to adopt the state's two-year biennial budget. The House and Senate are very far off in the numbers in terms of what the scope of the problem is, how much in deficit we're currently in, and how to solve that. And of course, we just heard from the governor this morning that the governor wants to solve a lot of these deficit issues through new taxes, and that's the first instance. Whereas I think the Senate and House Republicans will look at, first and foremost, prioritizing a budget based on the fundamentals of state government, and then prioritize a budget and look for efficiencies and look at tax increases only as a last resort.
The governor recently released his budget proposal. What are your thoughts?
Well, again, I think that the governor's proposal relies right from the get-go on additional tax increases. The plan to do a cap and trade and to impose a capital gains tax on high earners, although that sounds all fine and well in theory, when you go into the details, those proposals will be easily manipulated, and I suspect state bureaucrats are going to be able to define winners and losers very easily. So I've got concerns about those kinds of taxing schemes, and also, if we're going to be serious, any attempt to reduce carbon CO2 emissions at the expense of Washington jobs is not good policy, because in the macro sense, Washington, whatever we do here in this state, is not going to make one iota of difference in CO2 emissions in the macro sense. So I do think that the governor's proposal was a starting point. His budget's a starting point. I think the end budgets will look radically different and drastically different in terms of where we get to at the end of the session.
What are your priorities for the 2015 legislative session?
Well, in addition to fulfilling our obligations under McCleary, which is the Washington Supreme Court's K-12 decision, which requires significant investment from the state legislature to improve our K-12 education system, and that's a priority, I think, of every legislator down here, and we take very seriously our obligations under McCleary. I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle towards fulfilling our McCleary obligations to improve our K-12 system. I'm also focused on mental health. And we've got a bill that I'm going to co-sponsor this session. It's a repeat from last year that didn't make it through the Senate. It's called Joel's Law, and that would give parents and close family members an alternative pathway to court when they have a loved one who needs involuntary mental health treatment. And so I'm going to be focused heavily on mental health issues. I also have lots of issues in healthcare and judiciary. I'm the ranking member on the Judiciary Committee. We've got lots of bills coming through that deal with our courts, deal with other liability issues. I look forward to being at the forefront of those issues as well. I'm Representative Jay-Rodne, and I always welcome your feedback, ideas, and questions. If I can ever be of any assistance to you, please let me know by calling, writing, or sending me an email. I also encourage you to sign up for my email updates by visiting my website at www.representativejrodne.com and entering your email address at the top of the page. Stay tuned for more updates this session. Thank you for allowing me to serve you.